So here we are with part 2 of the week 2 tutorial for Web Publishing 1. Okay, one other thing I want to show you before I keep saying this, but there's one other thing before we get started that I want to show you, which is we're following along in the textbook, of course, Build Your Own Website the Right Way. And in the book, at the book's website, there's what's called a code archive, which has the actual files for all of the examples used in the book. I've put that on our Blackboard site. So if you go again to the web links area, you'll see in green here textbook code archive. You can right click on that and you can download all of the actual sample files that are referred to in the textbook. So let me show you what you're going to get because I think it'll help you understand where we're headed. So if you open the week 2 or the chapter 2 folder when you download that code archive, this is what you're going to see. And this shows the sorts of things we've been talking about. And so here's the first thing we did before we put any content in it. And then we did that. And you notice they're building a thing for a scuba site. We're going to follow along exactly the same way, but I'm going to ask you to put your own content in here. So rather than calling it Bubble Under and talk about the scuba site, this is going to be your name and it's going to be about the class and about you. But here's where we're headed. So this is sorts of things we're adding. This is an H1, this is an H2, this is an H3, that's an H3. We've got an email link that right now isn't doing anything, but you'll see now we've got an image in there and we've got a working email link that we could click on. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to get to this point in the project with your information. So similar, it's going to look very similar to this, but it's going to be your information about the class and your own interests. So if you want to sort of follow along with the book, that's where we're headed. And you can see I've got Mike alphabetically. His site was at the top of the list, so we're going to work with some of the information off Mike's site as just to give us some copy to work with. Alright, so here we are. We're at index.html, which we saved, and now the first thing that we need to do is put a title in. Now the textbook really doesn't talk about the title too much, and there's a couple things I want to tell you. In terms of searchability, in terms of helping the search engine find your site, one of the most important things you can do is put in a good title. And every page should have a unique title. In other words, don't repeat the exact same title on every page. Now, question is, what's a good title? Well, here's how you can figure out if it's a good title or not. What would people be typing into a search engine if they were trying to find your site? So if you can figure out the words that people would use, and those are usually called keywords, that's how they're referred to. What are the keywords that people will type into a search engine? Those are words that you want to have in your page title. So how about this? This page is your page, so probably your name would be a good keyword to put in the title. People might know that you're taking a class called Web Publishing 1, so let's say Web Publishing 1 should go in the title. And they may also know that you're taking this at Cuyahoga Community College. So we're going to do that. We're going to add that Cuyahoga or Haga Community College. Title can be up to, I think, about 100 characters long, so we could probably add a few more words. And if you'd like, you could change this. But my goal is to help people find my site. That's why titles are really useful, because the search engines assume that that's people's goals to find your site. So my name, the name of the class, the name of the college, all are pretty good things to have. And this is a good length for a title. Should be more than a word or two generally, but you don't want to run on and on into sentences in the title. They won't even show up in the title bar. So if I save this, just so you can see what we did, open it in the browser once again. And it's going to take a second while the browser is launching. I'm not sure why. But there we go. So here's the title I just put it excuse me, just put in there. Alright, so what else are we going to do? We're going to add the book says add a level 1 heading. So a level 1 heading means We're going to use the H1 tag. That's what they mean by level 1. And just so we don't forget, let's close the H1. And now we're going to put in whatever we want in here. Another thing not mentioned by the book is like titles help the search engines find your site. H1 tags, whatever information is in the H1, H2, H3 tags, also are helpful to the search engine. Now H1 tag should be the most important information on the page. So I'm going to say at this point the most important information. Let me jump over here and see what Mike did in his site. So he just has his name there. So I'm just going to steal his name. We're going to do Mike's assignment for him here, except that he's probably going to write much better copy than I would. Most important is his name. Maybe he wants to include Web Publishing 1 as part of it, part of his H1 or his important information. Now, in the book, what they suggest is after that, you put something that they typically call a tagline. Their tagline in their sample is Diving Club for the Southwest UK, let's make a splash. All right, Mike is going to be more interesting than that. I don't know what he would say, but he might say, my personal adventures in web publishing. All right, close that paragraph. And so let's see what we have. Oops, that's not it. Let's see what we have. I'll just drag this over to the browser. And there we are, my personal adventures in web publishing. And now if you remember back in the last assignment, or the last tutorial, we did something else. We used the M tag to make this my personal. Let me change this a little bit. I'm going to say my personal adventures. So in this assignment I'm going to ask you to use the M tag somewhere just to get a little bit of practice with it. And here we have it. Okay, there's my personal adventures in web publishing. All right, now after that we're going to put in an H2, which in the book they're calling it a welcoming subheading. Well, okay. Actually, I think welcoming is sort of dumb. Welcome to my website. How many times have you seen that? It's like a zillion times, and it's not all that helpful. So let's see, what else could we say? So Michael, Web Publishing 1, my personal adventures in web publishing. Here I'll show you what I'm learning in class. So again, please feel free to write whatever you want. This is your site. You can say whatever you want. You can probably come up with something much more interesting than what I just said. But for the time being, we're just going to use that. So now we have an H1, which is the most important information, Michael's name and the class name. And then H2, which is also important. Here I'll show you what I'm learning in class. And now the book suggests that what we do is add in a paragraph or so of text. So let's do that. And what I'm going to do is steal something from Mike. All right. I'm taking... All right. This first paragraph, why he's taking the class. It's a pretty interesting copy. Again, Mike and other people, you may want to use different copy, but for the time being, this is just going to give us something to work with. So now we have an H1, we have a little bit of description that goes with that, or tagline, H2, a paragraph of information, and now we're going to put in a couple of H3s, which we're going to then use later, and you'll see how. The first H3 is going to be contact us, and oh no, I'm sorry, I got it backwards. First H3 is going to be about us. That would make sense, and then we're going to end up with contact us. All right, and there's another H3 because these are about equal importance. So the H tags set up what's called the information hierarchy. So they tell the browser, and actually they'll tell the people looking at the site, what's most important. So obviously H1 is most important, H2 second, and then these are about equal importance, about us and contact us. So let's do a little bit of information here so that we can I'm going to actually write a little bit about Mike, which again, Mike, try not to be offended. I'm sure you can do much better than this. But I'm just going to say, based on what his interests are, he's a sports fan, he likes bicycling, and he loves design. Okay, so I'm someone who likes sports, bicycling, and graphic design. I'm going to stop for now just because, oops, let's use a lowercase p. Just because I don't know Mike all that well and I really don't know exactly what else to put in there. But let me point out to you, because you may not know this, the About section of a website is actually really important. It's a chance for you to give a little bit of information about who you are and your background and why you're doing the site. And believe it or not, it's one of the most popular links on any website. So when you check the statistics of what people are clicking on your site, the About page is always one of the important things. So there's that. Down here, I'm going to put in, let's see, what kind of information. In this paragraph, I'm going to say, you can call me at, and whatever that might be. You may or may not want to put your actual phone number in. If you're not comfortable doing that and you want to put in a dummy phone number for the time being, that's fine. If you're actually doing a site where you're trying to sell something, like your services as a graphic designer, it really is important to have an actual phone number. But for the class site, if you'd prefer to not put your real phone number, then please just don't do it. Call me at, or email me at mike@gmail.com. All right, so let's see what we have. Go back here, look at it. I'm sorry, wrong one. We want to see this one here, and let's see what we have. Okay, so there we are with our various levels of headings. You're going to hopefully put in much more interesting information than this. And here we are with an email address and a phone number. Okay, that takes us in the book about to page 49. And we're going to go through to 59. So, let me see. Are we going to go through to 59? We're going to go, no, we're not. We're going to go through to 55. Yep, okay. And again, this is a spot where I'm going to pause this tutorial. In fact, I think I'm going to end it here, and we'll pick up in the third section with putting in comments and divs based on what we have right now. So hopefully you're somewhere like this, with better copy than I've written, I would hope. All right, so that's the end of tutorial 2, and we'll start again with the third section in a moment.